Hi, this is Mike May, and on behalf of Uber, I'd like to give you some additional information which augments my first podcast that I did several months ago, as well as a getting started with your account, setting up your account that Paige from Uber did. Here's some additional information because, as you would expect with a technology app, it keeps evolving and some policies have changed a little bit, so I wanted to go through some of those changes with you in this podcast. The company is taking a very assertive role in making sure drivers are informed that they must absolutely take guide dogs and there's to be no rejection. If the rejection is egregious and that is confirmed, the driver will be kicked off of the platform after the first offense. The policy in general is 2 strikes and you're out because, of course, if there's a misunderstanding and the driver learns from the first time around if they rejected a guide dog and they won't ever do it in the future, then that's a nice thing. We'll have another educated driver in the mix. But they should be educated from the start. There's a keyboard shortcut that you can use that helps in a couple of different ways. If you have something specific you want the driver to know about your house, your location, and you don't want to be typing, trying to touch text in a really noisy environment, you can set up a shortcut. You go into your iPhone settings, and under the keyboard shortcuts, there's something called text shortcut, and you can type in the long and the short version. So for example, I have the letters BL, so I type in BL space and it expands to I am blind and with a guide dog. Since I cannot see you, please call out my name when you see me. I typically send this just a couple minutes before the driver gets there, and I send a text as opposed to calling them because that way they don't have to be distracted by answering the telephone, or if it's a noisy situation or somebody has a strong accent or whatever reason communication verbally is difficult, a text is much better. So I send that expanded text. It could be anything. I'm in a purple house at the end of the block and there's no address on my mailbox. Another item, if you ever lose something in an Uber, it's interesting to know that the phone number you call remains active for a short period of time. The phone numbers between you are masked. They're only usable when you're conducting a ride request and shortly thereafter the ride. So if you lose something, you can call that driver back on that fictitious number and they will answer, and you can tell them, hey, I left my wallet or my headphones in the car, could you bring it back to my location? And this has happened to me and they're very nice about it. If for some reason you didn't discover that it was missing until the next day, then you could email Uber and they would know specifically which driver you had. You would have that in your history log and you could tell them the specific details and they'd be in touch with that driver and get your property back, hopefully. There are some third-party apps that use Uber. My favorite is the Amazon Echo. On the Amazon Echo, you can enable Uber functionality. Alexa, ask an Uber to pick me up.
There is an UberX about 11 minutes away from 739 Miller Drive. Would you like me to order it?
No.
Okay, goodbye.
If I'd said yes to Alexa, then she would have proceeded to request a ride, and after several seconds, she'd come back and say, your driver's name is so-and-so and will arrive in so many minutes. And at that point, I would just proceed on my phone app the way that I would normally use Uber. You will also see Uber buttons in different apps. In my United Airlines app, you can see Uber. In the Blind Square app, you will see an Uber button. And this is just nice because then your position from your blind square can be pushed to Uber. Sharing your ETA, this is a really smart thing to do, particularly if you want a little bit of extra security or if you want to let a family member know that you're coming in and you're going to be at the house at a certain time, or if 2 people are going to a bar and you want to know who's going to get there first and reserve a table, then you can share your ETA and there's an option for you to do that. Your position is pushed to that other rider and they can track your route and even click on it and go to a map and see where you are exactly in real time. So this is a nice secure thing if somebody wants to know exactly where you are in your route going to them. If you're with somebody else and you want to share the fare, there's an option to do that in the menu list. When an Uber is about to your location, you'll see the countdown, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. You'll get a chime and it'll say your Uber has arrived. Just for your information, that currently happens manually when the driver hits a button, when they think they're near your location. So if they have a big U-turn to make or they've got a security gate to go through or something like that, it might actually take them a little longer to get to than they think. For security reasons, there's a specific way you should confirm that the right driver is there for you. Do not say, "Are you Robert?" You want to say, "Who are you looking for?" And if they say, "I'm looking for Mike," that's fine. You can even say, "Are you Uber?" And they say, "Yes." "What's your name?" And then they confirm, "I'm Robert." Don't make it a situation, particularly as a blind person, where you could be vulnerable and somebody could spoof you that it's not really who you think you are. It's not likely to happen, but why not just be a little bit careful about it? By the way, if the driver that's picking you up is deaf and they've enabled this option in their app, you may get something that says, "Your driver is deaf or hard of hearing, please enter a destination." This is really nice because I don't always enter a destination. You do if you want to know the estimated fare, and it helps to speed things along. But if you haven't, and it's a deaf driver, it'll be prompted because they need to know, obviously, where to take you, and you might not be able to speak to them. So if you've already entered it, then that step has been taken care of. If you rate your driver 3 stars or less, you will get prompts as to more specifics about, was it because of the service, the car, any number of details. You can always add that information when you go into help. Remember that rating the driver high is the best form that they can get in terms of their rating with the company, and also you are rated by them. So it's a good idea to make it a mutual admiration club, if you will. In some cities, like the one I live in San Francisco and Honolulu and some others, you have the option of access. So on the bottom of your screen where you have your vehicle choices, you have
selected UberX button.
And then I'm going to flick right.
Uber BLACK button.
Uber Black.
Access button.
Access.
Espanol button.
And Espanol.
Access button.
So I'm going to click on Access.
Selected Access.
And then there's 2 options under that.
Selected Assist button.
Assist is selected because that's what I usually use. The other one is
Wave button.
Wheelchair Access Vehicle. I'm going to go back to Assist.
Selected Assist button.
Now if I look at my ETA.
Set pickup location, ETA 9 minutes button.
So Assist is 9 minutes, and if I go to X.
UberX button. Selected UberX. Set pickup location, ETA 5 minutes button.
It's 5 minutes, so 9 minutes isn't too bad. I would probably choose to get an assist. And of course, this is still evolving. The whole concept of assist may change, but that's the way it works in some of these pilot cities right now. Also be aware that if the driver arrives and you're not ready, I know I get a little bit anxious that they're sitting there, and I don't mind a few minutes, but let's say it's 5-10 minutes. I will tell the driver, I'll call them and say, look, just start the trip running, and that way you're being charged for waiting time. It's not a lot, but it's something, and I think it's a nice thing to do. Otherwise, you risk the chance that they could cancel the ride because they think you're not coming. You really should communicate with them one way or the other to let them know why you're delayed. And remember, if you do want to report any issues, or if you want to commend a driver more than the comment section, there is a comment section when you rate each driver. You can go into help and send more specific information. If you ever do have an issue with a guide dog rejection, you'd of course want to report that right away, and Uber is quite proactive in responding quickly to those reports. Those are some additional tips I have for you right now. I'll be back with more as I learn them. The app is constantly being beta tested by myself and some other blind folks, so hopefully we keep it 99% accessible. It certainly has changed my life, and I'm thrilled that blind people all over the country and in fact around the world are using it regularly and adding independence. That's what it's all about.